Hey guys, welcome back to Pixel Cherry Ninja's channel. It's the weekend, which means only one thing, it's time for that weekly news roundup. And honestly guys, we've had quite the week. As always, we will begin with FPGA gaming news, the MiSTer, the Analogue Pocket, and any other FPGA gaming news out there. After that, we will move over to some random and retro gaming stuff. Timestamps are available, so use those to navigate your way around the video. And before we go further in guys, if you want to support the channel further than just liking and subscribing, I do have a Patreon set up. As well as that, don't forget the sponsor of the weekly news show, MiSTer Add-ons, a family run store where, well, you can get all your MiSTer needs taken care of. And the final thing before we begin guys, check out Free Play City, London's best arcade. Anyway guys, let's see what's been happening. Let's begin with this, not exactly FPGA gaming, but definitely interesting and exciting. So Rich Whitehouse, if you're unfamiliar with Rich Whitehouse, he's the excellent developer that's brought over this superb Atari Jaguar software emulator. It's known as Big P Emu. In fact, way before I even got playing on the MiSTer FPGA core of the Atari Jaguar, when I wanted to check out the system, I checked out their emulator, and honestly, it's an excellent experience. So when they say that they are currently writing an emulator from scratch for Killer Instinct, you kind of want to pay attention. And then when I get a tag here from our buddy William, who says, please make this for FPGA devices, and tags me, I'm like, oh wow, I really do hope something like that can happen in the future. Again, this is just speculation. Either way, if it ends up becoming an FPGA core, excellent. If it doesn't, I'm sure the software emulator will be excellent. But Killer Instinct, yes, a great game. Many people talk about it. It's not something I played so much in the arcade, but man, so many people love this game, and rightfully so. From what I've tried of it, I like it. Sometimes good new things come out of something old. I'm not talking about a Werther's original coming out my grandmother's pocket with all the pocket fluff on there. I'm talking about the JT Pan core, and now the JT Pan core has a new game. And it's this game here. It's called DOKABEN 2. What is DOKABEN 2? Well, DOKABEN 2 is based on the iconic baseball manga called DOKABEN, which was created by Shinji Mizushima. This 1989 Capcom card-based baseball game lets you choose teams from Macon High School and its rivals. Offense and defense are played using numbered cards. Higher numbers mean hits or strikeouts depending on your role. Scenes from the original manga really do bring this game to life, and the stats plus a point system add strategy. Guys, never played this game before, first time I'm looking at it. This is actually the MiSTer FPGA track mode running, so really interested if you actually played this game in the arcade, because baseball wasn't so big in the UK. We kind of called it rounders and played it indoors. But anyway, enjoy. So good news here for you guys that have a Sinde light gun. Hatego and team were recently speaking about implementing support for the Sinde light gun to their cores. Well, the first game, now part of the Fairyland story core, a game called NY Captor, now has support for the Sinde light gun. In order to get the Sinde light gun up and running with this core, there is a little bit of a process involved. Clear and concise instructions for that process are available on the latest Patreon post of Hatego and team. I'm looking at it now, and some of the things you need to do is you need to install a driver and then enable the driver before loading the game. The good news is once you enable this driver and you reset or reboot your MiSTer, the driver is gone. So you need to do it each time. You also need to map the trigger to the first button of the gamepad, and you need to do that through the MiSTer gamepad mapping menu. Once you've done that and you're inside the core, you need to go to the OSD and actually enable the Sinde light gun. Optionally, you can also make the crosshair visible via the OSD. Now, what's really interesting is there are some other games in Hatego cores or systems that Hatego is covering. Now, I know there's one in Sega System 18. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Maybe like Beastbusters or something. So it'd be interesting to see other light gun games get this support, and you guys with the Sinde light gun having more use for your device. Really good news here, and I can kind of hear it in my head. Okay, please don't unsubscribe. It's just whenever I see X-Men, I just keep thinking about that 90s animated cartoon. But we're not talking about the 90s animated cartoon. We're talking about the awesome X-Men brawler by Konami. And the great news is it is now a public release. So if you're not a Patreon supporter, you can play this for free because, well, it's publicly available. And guys, this is a fun brawler. I specifically recommend playing this with friends. If you don't have 4 friends limited, you've just got one friend, play it 2-player, but it really does come alive as a 4-player game. There's also a 6-player version of the game, but that's not available for the MiSTer. I played this game with my kids. My kids, they like modern games like Minecraft and Fortnite, but once in a while, when they retro game with me, stuff like superhero brawlers is what they like to play. But this is brilliant. So thanks to Tego for making this available to the masses. Go enjoy this now and, well, have an uncanny weekend. As we talk about this part, guys, I want to keep our expectations in check. But what was really cool in Hatego's latest Patreon post, when he speaks about X-Men going public, he also mentions that the Eade PCM chip will be completed as part of working on Run and Gun and other games. So Run and Gun is a basketball game. It's also known as Slam Dunk. You can see it in the top right of your screen. But heading over to System 16 and having a look at the other games on the hardware that supports Run and Gun, we've got Asterix, which is in the top left. Then we've got Bucky-O here, which is in the bottom left, right? Yeah, bottom left. And then we've got stuff like Dragon Ball Z Super Battle, which I haven't got on screen. We've got G.I. Joe, which is your bottom right of the screen. Then we've got Lethal Enforcers Overdrive and the centerpiece of the screen, a game called Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa. That's a game that I've never played in the arcade. You guys told me about it. You said you like it better than Sunset Riders. I kind of like Sunset Riders better because I have a lot of nostalgia for that. I don't really have a lot of nostalgia for this, but man, I played this on emulation and it is a great game. So these could all well become possibilities. Take it with a grain of salt because anything can happen, but Hatego has mentioned Run and Gun specifically, so I'm just showing you what's on the hardware as well. There's also a game on there called, well, XEX, which I think will be Zezex. Is that how you say it? So it's definitely excellent hardware with excellent games on there. So yeah, future's looking good for FPGA gaming. So many of you guys are happy, right? You're like, wow, we're going to have a great weekend because we've got X-Men as a public release. Well, guess what? I'm going to make your weekend better. Actually, I'm only going to give you the news, but it's Hatego and team that are making your weekend even better. And there is another public release, and this time it's the Twin 16 hardware, the JT Twin 16 core. This is a core that I love so much because I love the Konami shmups, and this system has Gradius 2, what you're seeing on screen now. Now, I want to point out, when you're looking for Gradius 2 in the main arcade menu, it goes under the different name, Vulcan Venture. The games on this system have different names depending on what region they were being played at. So don't be like me, don't be like, where's my Gradius 2 gone? I can't find it. Where is it? Where is it? No, look under V for Vulcan Venture. If you want the Gradius 2 name game, look in the alternatives folder. I have to give a special thanks out to Ulf Skutnabber, or Scuttis77 as you may know him. He contributed a lot of work to bringing this core to life. So big shout out to Hatego and team and Ulf. But the other games on this core, there's a game called Kubrick. It's a puzzle game. It's freaking difficult, but play it, it is fun. Then there's a game called Devil World, which is also known as Dark Adventure. Then you've got the main game, the one that I like, Gradius 2, also known as Vulcan Venture. Then you've got Missing in Action, and then the final game is the Final Round, also known as Hard Puncher. Hatego does mention in his Patreon post that there are some versions of MIA, Missing in Action, that are missing. The irony. But the other versions are actually playable in the JT TMNT core, which is the JT Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles core. But a great weekend for public releases. Enjoy. In this section, we're going to go over some miscellaneous updates and fixes from Hatego and team. So let's begin. Hatego says, better looking crosshair for shooting games. I guess they must look real pretty now. Then he goes on to say, restored analog controls for Super Hang-On and other games. I know many of you guys like playing that on like analog sticks, so hey, if you are missing those controls, they are back. Then JT Gaiden, what you're seeing on screen now, Shadow Warriors, output better centered vertically. And then there was a glitch on the left hand side on WWF Superstars introduced last Friday. That has been fixed. And there was also a glitch on the right side of the screen on the AnaloguePocket that was introduced last Friday. That has now been fixed. And then PCM volume in Super Contra has been increased. Hatego also goes, I think earlier on I got the name of the game wrong, but they want to implement more light gun support to other games like the JT Sega System 18. And there's a game on there called Laser Ghost, which is like a early House of the Dead type of game. So yeah, hopefully more gun support in the future too. Rolling Thunder. I can't believe this game was released in 1986. It was released by Namco, but guys, the visuals in 1986, I don't remember seeing stuff that looked quite as good as this. This was definitely cutting edge visuals for that time. But a good thing is Hatego has mentioned this before as something to work on in the future. Not exactly sure when. Now, a good way to keep an eye on what potential future projects we could get from Hatego and team is having a look at his GitHub. It gives you a good indication of what may come out. Now, no idea when it will come out, but having a look at the GitHub, we can see he has been actively working on Rolling Thunder of recent. So hopefully this means we will see a core soon. Again, don't take this as gospel. I'm just pointing out to you what I am seeing. So Hatego's mentioned he'd like to work on this in the past, and there's activity on the GitHub. I'm no Sherlock Holmes, but hopefully this does mean we get to play this excellent arcade side scroller. One of the things I really do like about FPGA gaming, and in particular the MiSTer, is it caters for everybody. So here's a game called Naughty Boy. It's an arcade game. It's way before my time, but it is a new release. So this is courtesy of Darth FPGA, and I have to send a special thank you out to my buddy Funky Coach Eyes, who told me, he was like, "Hey Pixel, do you know about this?" And I was like, absolutely not, but thank you for letting me know. But going back to why I love the MiSTer so much, there are games that I like. It has my era. So we're talking Dragon Ninja, RoboCop, CPS1, CPS2, the Neo Geo stuff. There are games that I played when I was growing up, and I have the best version of them, potentially bar original hardware. So for people that were around before me, this might be your special game. You might have been the naughty boy that played Naughty Boy. Well, now it's available for your MiSTer FPGA. Now, I'm not sure if it's actually available via update all, but you can grab the files from GitHub and install it manually. I'll leave a link to the GitHub page that you're seeing on screen now. But I'm really interested, and I always say this, if you were around in the arcade and was Naughty Boy your game, enlighten me, tell me about it. I love hearing stories about arcade times, or anything, just a different era to mine. So yeah, Naughty Boy, if you were waiting for this, your time has come. Last week we celebrated the massive update to the downloader 2.0. When I say downloader, this is the downloader that Update All uses, because hey, everyone knows Update All. I even knew about Update All before I got the MiSTer, because I was like, how do I put everything on there? What do I do? How do I set my MiSTer up? And my buddy said to me, who helped me out get my MiSTer and set it up, he said, all will be good, friend. Don't panic. There is a thing called Update All. And I was like, wow, it sounds amazing. So Jose BG, or you may better know him as the Ypsilon, he's gone from 2.0 to 2.1. And over here he says, downloader 2.1 or 2.1 is out now. It keeps getting quicker, more realistic runtime output, various improvements and fixes. Full details in a public post, plus there's a Patreon-only poll on future development. So if you want to check that out, if you want to support the Ypsilon over on Patreon, their work is amazing. All of us use it, guys, amazing, and honestly the downloader just keeps getting better and faster. In the intro, guys, I said it's been a heck of a week. That's an understatement. It's been a mega heck of a week. So Taki Uron, who we know, right? So Taki Uron he's working on multiple projects, right? The kind of one that everyone's got an eye on at the moment is the SuperStation One, a PlayStation themed MiSTer FPGA console. Now, a lot of people can say delays or your project's not going to come to light, but in regard to Taki, he has actually pulled off and delivered the project. He's already delivered the MiSTer Pi. Many thousands of people are enjoying their MiSTer Pi, myself included. So when Taki says he's going to be working on what may be the next generation of FPGA gaming, it could be a MiSTer 2, it could be a MiSTer Pi 2, it could be a project in and of itself, something completely different. But it's very interesting, and you have to pay attention because this is someone that has successfully brought out multiple projects. I know recently he's been faced with delays, but it seems right now that he's kind of overcoming that, and whatever orders were delayed should be out soon. So let's have a look at this, because I think I'm going off topic. So let's have a look at this tweet where Taki says, today I had a good meeting with our Altera partner. I've decided that we will create Agilex 5 engineering boards in a modified MiSTer Pi form factor to seed to developers. I'm considering adding a condition that the hardware becomes open hardware after a set time. And there's a follow-up tweet to that, like the next part, i.e. 1 year or as a guarantee if we can no longer produce the boards, depending On the part, we pick either 138K logic elements to a whopping 656K logic elements. Expect pricing to be 1.5 to 3 times the cost of MiSTer Pi. Okay, so when we're talking logic elements here, the DE10 Nano board, which is in the MiSTer FPGA, the heart and soul of the MiSTer, that has 110K logic elements. So in comparison, the lowest version of the Agilex 5 board that Taki is considering will be 138K. Compared to the biggest, the other end of the spectrum, 656K logic elements. The pricing, so the price of a MiSTer Pi, let's just say $100, so 1.5 to 3 times, that's going to be $150 to $300. Guys, that sounds amazing. It just sounds like Handlebar Gamer there says that this would be insane. It really does sound insane, but with someone that's actually brought products out to market, anything's possible, right? I mean, we're looking at this and they want to get it out to developers and hopefully it gets support. Now, I have to say that Taki previously has spoken to Sorg, the main person behind the MiSTer FPGA project. So maybe there's some involvement there. Again, that's speculation on my part. Don't take that as gospel. But if someone's brought stuff to market, maybe they kind of know what they're doing. But either way, it's interesting. Now, I love my MiSTer. I feel like the MiSTer FPGA personally captures my childhood. I've got the NES on there, I've got the Super Nintendo on there, I've got like the Mega Drive, I've got a whole bunch of arcade games that I played a lot. Now, what would I want from a more powerful FPGA console? Well, maybe it's some of the newer arcades that may not fit on the MiSTer. Yeah, that would be the main thing, and maybe something like a Dreamcast or like Naomi support. But either way, it's innovation, and I want to see how this will turn out. I feel like it's going to be a long time away. We're talking like minimum a year, maybe more. But again, that's all speculation on my part. And this tweet, this was either earlier on and big FPGA, and here we go, Agilex 5 FPGA and SoC E series. So here you go. So Taki's doing his kind of work on that. He's got Agilex 5 board there that he is showing off. And what was really interesting here, as I was filming, this tweet came up from Hotego. So, you know, Hotego, one of the most prominent developers on the MiSTer FPGA, definitely the best, or the arcade developer, the developer that's released the most arcade games. You know, you go to your arcade folder, the vast majority are going to be Hotego cores on there. So he over here says, comparing Intel Agilex 5 with Cyclone 5 is like comparing a modern electric sports car to a reliable family sedan from a decade ago. That's from ChatGPT. So that's what ChatGPT said. And I really like this here from Jaruro down here. Are you ready to drive a sports car? I am. But guys, that's really, really interesting. I did a separate video during the week, kind of talking a little bit more about it. Video Game Esoterica dropped a video as well. It's interesting what will happen with this, because there's always been talk about the next evolution of MiSTer, the next generation project. There's been some that have been like vaporware, that have, well, disappeared even before they surfaced. But yeah, this is very, very interesting. So naturally, any updates, I'll keep you guys posted in either dedicated videos or a weekly news video. But honestly, like, the space is it's just getting more and more interesting. Let's now talk SuperStation One. So what's been happening in the last week, and there's some stuff regarding its user interface. So Taki here says new reference SuperStation UI with basic user themes will also support box art. And just having a look at some of the themes here, or what this theme here looks like. Here you go. So for those of you guys that like themes, it looks like it's a possibility, and it's something that's going to happen on the SuperStation One. This does look really, really nice. Like, guys, honestly, I'm not for the idea and I'm not against the idea. I spent so much time messing around with emulation and front ends. I'm quite happy with like the basic view we have on the MiSTer. However, I do like some of this box art stuff. It looks really, really nice, especially on like my small handheld emulation devices, but a good choice for the MiSTer. So just having a look at the stuff here, list view, and you've got the box art as well. So over here, Taylor Ling here says, will it have a built-in cover scraper? Okay, so the question there, and Taki kind of says, the ARM processor is a little slow. It can be used for scraping, and I plan for that, you know, at some point in the future. But he says you'd be better off scraping on your PC and copying the correct files over to your MiSTer. That's usually the quicker way. Having a look at over here where Taki says here are some more like UI views for box art and lists and whatnot. And again, it does look kind of nice, right? Gives you that console experience. So you buy the SuperStation One, it's PlayStation themed, you've got this stuff on here, but hey, as well as PlayStation, it does a whole bunch of other stuff. So Sebs here says, question, can you save the usage time of each game like consoles do now? And Taki said, yes, history will have that. You can probably do that on the MiSTer already. It's not something I've dabbled with. I know when I'm in RetroArch, it kind of tells me how long I've played each game for, which is kind of interesting. So Star Racer here says, or Star Racer available now, I guess that's their game. Don't know that game, but they're asking the question, will the Super Dock have the ability to rip the game disc and save a playable image to the SD card? And Taki responds to that, it is a core feature, so you can rip your own discs and play them. And a final thing here, does it support 240p 4:3 aspect ratio though? I wonder how those thumbnail screenshots can be displayed in 240p. And Taki responds, the 240p UI will be scaled back in terms of UI features. Mr. Pi Batch 3, I know many of you guys ordered from Batch 3, and I know some of you guys got a little bit anxious because you reached out to me and said there have been a lot of delays with Batch 3. Well, it looks like there's some good news now because Taki is getting the MiSTer boards, the accessories that he needs in order to start shipping. Well, before shipping, he needs to do his quality checks, the quality assurance checks on there. So we're going to look at some tweets in chronological order. This one was from the 18th of March, my time 1:23 a.m. Then a few hours later, at almost 8 a.m, a tweet saying boards have arrived, but to Taki's shock, they didn't get the full amount. Looking at it a little while later, they got enough boards to do quality assurance with and build a FPGA cluster, and this also meant that they didn't get the NFC parts, I think, so shipping for that will be delayed, but Turbo and Mega Pack orders will ship this weekend. We're at this weekend now. I'm filming this video on a Saturday to go out later, and then here we go. So a little while later, 11:50 p.m. When was that? That was yesterday. Wow, that was last night. So today's the 22nd. On the 21st, 11:50 p.m. Most of the Retro Remake staff are just leaving the office from working overtime on MiSTer Pi QA and packaging. The good news is a car just delivered our final delayed shipment of batch 3 boards. We can ship now. So guys, hopefully you guys will be rewarded for your patience and you will be enjoying a MiSTer soon. Let's now check a little something out about Zaparoo. So Wizzo over here on Blue Sky posted beautiful crisp composite. Still work in progress, but thanks to work by Andre Bogazzi and Devasi, Zaparoo will soon have a built-in graphical user interface on MiSTer again. The app will still have more features, but we at least want to make it so you can get started without extra devices. I also kind of want to mention here, I watched Lou's video. I think he released it on Friday. I was actually really confused because he usually releases them on a Monday. So when I saw a notification pop up for Friday, I started questioning myself as to what day it really was. But Lou goes over Zaparoo and a lot of its features a lot better than I can. I recommend watching his video to find out more about Zaparoo. Analog gave an announcement during the week. Now I did a dedicated video on that, so if you want like comprehensive coverage, check out the video, but we will skim over this in the weekly news video. So the main thing in this announcement was the Analog 3D has been delayed, and like I keep saying, one thing in retro gaming is delays just seem inevitable. So the Analog 3D was supposed to be out in Q1. We're approaching the end of Q1. It's the 22nd of March today. And yeah, so end of March would be the end of Q1. So it's been delayed up until July 2025. And I always say to people, always hope for the best, but expect the worst. Hopefully it will come out in July 2025. But somewhere in the back of your head, just say to yourself there could be a delay, and that way you won't be mega disappointed. You can actually refund or get 100% refund if you're unhappy with this. Analog have a policy where if they delay or during the pre-order stage, you can have a no quibble refund. It's completely up to you. As well as that, Analog Pockets are now back in stock in black and white, so that's kind of cool if you want to grab yourself an Analog Pocket. Great devices, love them, best FPGA gaming handheld device out there. There's no competition for it, and it is really good, especially the open FPGA side. As well as that, we got firmware updates, so Pocket version 2.5 and the Duo OS 1.5 are now available. But that's really cool. So that's the Analog 3D there. It has been delayed. You can't even pre-order it now if you wanted to. So I don't know if you were to cancel your order, would one kind of show up here for someone else to get it? I'm unsure, but just bear in mind that if you do decide to cancel your Analog 3D pre-order, you may not be able to order another one. And over here, I'm not going to go through all the release notes and everything, but the main thing we're looking at here is the Analog Pocket. The dock got lots and lots of controller support. Pretty much every Nintendo Switch online controller works now, and this is really interesting. Added support for some later Wii Remote Plus controllers. So they say later, so Wii Remote Plus was this one here. It had the attachment that you could put on there, and then later they kind of made it, I think this one here, where the Motion Plus was actually built in. I think I've got one of each. I haven't actually tried it out. I haven't actually updated my dock yet. I've only updated my Analog Pocket, but sounds really interesting. So a good update to have. Do let me know if you've tried any of the new controllers out, especially if you've tried like a Wiimote Motion Plus up. I'm wondering if you can somehow use some of that motion. I mean, I can't imagine sticking that Wii sensor bar on top of my Analog Pocket or hanging out of there anyway. But yeah, main thing, Analog 3D has been delayed. And some updates regarding the Analogizer configurator. Okay, it's now been updated to version 0.4. Now includes regional settings for the cores that support Analogizer. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. So this just came out as I was filming. So released Analogizer NES Core 1.1.0 with regional setting support. You need to use Analogizer configurator, which you can go via PubDate as well. So there you go, kind of like two kind of bits of information that kind of tie it in together. But this was interesting on Twitter from this account here, Uba. Is that how you say Uba? O-O-B-A. Hey, good Twitter handle. So I made pixel art animation using Analog Pocket's Open FPGA, and that's just kind of it. It's an account that I'll be kind of keeping an eye on. Let's see if more things develop, but it's always nice to see people messing around with their devices. If you're a long-time viewer of the channel, then you may remember P-Gate 1. We featured P-Gate 1's work on the channel before because they were attempting to bring the PlayStation 1 over to the Analog Pocket, and well, they kind of did it. You've got PlayStation on the Analog Pocket, it just runs really slow, like 5, 10, maybe 15 frames a second. There's issues with sound. They're very proof of concept, early work in progress, kind of like never kind of went further with that. I kind of tried it out. I think there was like a 2D shmup that kind of worked on there, but it was very interesting to see. A lot of people got very excited about it. As to whether this will ever work on the Analog Pocket, whether we'll get a fully functional core that will run everything PlayStation remains to be seen. It's very unlikely, but I don't like saying impossible because I'm not really from a coding programming background. You know, I don't like to say anything's impossible only for someone to make it possible later. But based on like most people I speak to, they just say it will not fit and run effectively or properly on the Analog Pocket. But again, it was great to see when P-Gate 1 was developing this for the Analog Pocket, and you can see Tobal running over there, very slow, but it's running. Let me just go into some of the game part there, just for anyone there that doesn't remember. As you can see, it's running, but it's running very slow. Again, just super interesting. But recently they've been putting out tweets where they're saying I was able to port the NES and SNES to the Pocket this week, and I think that's their own cores that they've built. They're not porting anyone else's cores. It is their original cores. They are just someone that really like messing around with FPGAs. Very talented and competent developer. So over there, I kind of asked them a question there. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, yeah, I think they kind of say that it had difficulties saving. Is it this tweet over here? Oh, okay, that's the same one over here. Let's have a look here, guys. Sorry, when I kind of have more. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I kind of asked, yeah, please let me know when available. I'd love to show the action on my channel, and they said thank you, but it still can't save, so I need to check the Pocket's features. But moving on a little bit further, it says SNES on FPGA featuring Pocket. Save data can now be loaded. There's some garbage on the left though. So again, really nice to see this progress. I know we already have a SNES and a NES core, but hey, you know what, it's nice to have different options. It's very easy on the Analog Pocket. You know, whatever core you set stays there, and you can always go in and change. You might find that a particular game or game that crashes on one core works on another. I definitely had that experience with I think, was it one of the cores anyway? Something worked on a particular version of a core. I think it was the Mega Drive core, the Eric Lewis and the Spiritualized core. Certain ROM hacks would work on one that wouldn't work on the other. So interesting to see what kind of becomes of this. Now it's getting interesting. It seems like the race for the Nintendo 64 FPGA may well be on. So around the same time Analog announced that the Analog 3D was delayed, Palmer Luckey here. If you're unaware who Palmer Luckey is, he's, among other things, the person that's behind the Modretro company. So Modretro recently did an FPGA Game Boy Color. I don't actually have that Game Boy Color, but everyone I know that has one says it's a very, very cool device. It has a really good D-pad, which sometimes is difficult for people to get right these days, but it has a good D-pad, a good screen, and people really, really like it. And on top of that, it actually uses the open source MiSTer FPGA core. So what's happening here? So Palmer Lucky is hinting here, and he's actually tagged Modretro here as well. So he's kind of hinting here, you know, what do you want, the blue pill, or the red pill? So I guess that's a choice of logo, which logo you prefer. If I had to pick one, I think I prefer the red pill. And over here you can see the controller, the N64 controller here. So it looks like the next device Modretro are going to be doing is an FPGA N64. And I wonder if they're going to release this before Analog. So Analog is saying July. Are these guys going to release it sooner than Analog? I guess it remains to be seen. But whichever one comes out first might end up taking that market share, and whichever one comes out second might lose a significant amount of sales. Both of them, like the FPGA Game Boy done by Modretro, runs cartridges just like the AnaloguePocket by Analog, and Analog's 3D is ready to play cartridges when it comes out, and I imagine this one is too. So it sounds like it's going to be interesting going forward, and likely. So if we're speaking historically, the Game Boy Color that they did uses the MiSTer FPGA core, so it's very, very likely that this one here, they haven't made their own FPGA core, but they may well be using Robert Pape's core that's available for the MiSTer FPGA. I guess we'll see what happens. Just a quick one this week with the Tang FPGA. So Nanto Mario, one of the main developers that's working on the Tang consoles, says more info work for Tang Core, just got a DDR3 backed frame buffer to work. 60 FPS max 1280 by 720 resolution with the DDR3 chip on TangConsole. All game cores used to rely on size limited FPGA VRAM. Now it uses 32 kilobytes VRAM fixed. Use this if you want to build a 486 core. Sensible Soccer. It's likely my favorite football game ever, but I don't know. I went through a phase where I played a lot of Pro Evo on the PlayStation 2. But yeah, at least at the retro ones, I feel Sensible Soccer is definitely my favorite football game out there. Soccer for you guys on the other side of the pond, but over here in the UK, it is football. So Rick Lindemann here says, we made a little we made a little website for the Sensi Days 2025. And you can have a look here. So WordPress here, and they've got a timer at the bottom here. So if you want to get involved and you want to compete with other people in Sensible Soccer, look, they've got a Sensible World Cup, official World Cup Sensible World of Soccer, the 26th and the 27th of July 2025. So maybe if you want a little holiday to Holland this summer, you want to play some Sensible World Soccer with other enthusiasts, yeah, maybe you can. Let's give a shout out to Big Al, all around nice guy and just super helpful. He kind of posted this on the Discord, and wow, it just looks really, really good. So first look at the new glow-in-dark Pac-Man Xbox controller, and I won't go through, I'm not going to read the article, I know I've got a habit of reading stuff. What we want to have a look at here is this picture here, the glow-in-dark picture. It does look really, really good. And I kind of went on Amazon and had a look, and you can pre-order it on Amazon, but man, it's like £101.63. I know controllers can be expensive sometimes, but wow, is it really worth it for glow in dark that much? I mean, it is a pro controller, so I guess some people do pay for that stuff. So looks interesting, but hey, if you're a Pac-Man fan and that should jam, maybe you want to get this. What I really do hope is, I hope there's a good D-pad on this. Al was actually saying he'd love a way just to make it 4-way so you don't get accidental diagonals that will make you go, say, up instead of right. But hopefully the D-pad is very, very accurate. But yeah, looks very, very interesting, and you know, just seeing that glow in dark color, it looks fantastic. And to round up the video, I want to have a look at some more of Pixel Memories stuff. So Pixel Memories is a person who I bought an arcade stick from. They did me a custom PCN, a Pixel Cherry Ninja arcade stick. I'll try and leave a link to a video where I show that off. But guys, their work is top notch. If you want a specialist arcade stick, honestly, you can't do much better. Look at this stuff here. I mean, it's really, really amazing. But the reason I'm kind of showcasing their stuff is they're working on some new stuff, and for the whole part, it just looks fantastic. So if we head over to my Discord and we go over to the games related art stuff, you can see they're working on a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of what was it called, Studio Ghibli, My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away. What we've got here is that The Last Ninja or The Ninja. This one just looks beautiful, man. Area 88, you may know it as UN Squadron, looks really cool. But a whole bunch of stuff here: Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts, Darius, some Street Fighter stuff. I'm a Street Fighter guy, man, in a Street Fighter world. Fist of the North Star, the first manga that I ever watched, the animated manga that I saw, I thought it was fantastic. What is it called in anime? Looks great. Look at that. We've got Kenshiro on there. But again, top-notch work from Pixel Memories. I'll leave a link to their store if you want anything done. If you want anything in particular done, speak to the guy, man. He's just very good at bringing ideas to life. So guys, that about wraps it up for this week. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then a subscription and a like is super duper appreciated. Be absolutely awesome to one another, guys. This is Pixel Cherry Ninja out.